Hey everyone, it's Matt here. I just wanted to jump in real quick before we started the episode. I just wanted to give everyone a quick heads up. Next week, there will not be a new episode of Lost Legacies. The show is taking a week off. Matt and Sam won't be taking a week off. We're still going to be working, but there just won't be a new episode. There's a lot of life changes going on for me and Sam right now. All good stuff. Sam got a new job. We're working together now. Sam and his wife Kat are also in the middle of moving, so it's just life stuff, and it's all kind of piling on at once. But I mean, hey, it could be worse because it's all good stuff that's piling up. But point is, all our schedules are different, and we're trying to figure out, best times to record, best times to watch Lost, stuff like that. But it also works out because, and we mentioned this in this episode, but this episode of Lost was the last one in season two before, I guess this, after this, it was their winter break. So Lost went on break for like 1 or 2 months. Lost Legacies is only going on break for 1 week. So fear not, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Until then, enjoy this episode and, you know, get lost. Welcome back to Lost Legacies. I'm Matt.
And I'm Sam.
Man, it's been a while. Not for listeners, but for us recording these, it's been a while. I mean, it's only been 2 weeks, but we were just talking about that. It was a lot of 2 weeks. Lot of 2 weeks.
Yeah, there you go.
It was a lot of weeks in that 2 week span.
It was a lot of weeks in those 14 days.
Yeah. Black Widow came out.
Yes.
What were your thoughts?
I loved it. I think it's great. I think it's one of the best MCU movies.
Nice.
Yeah. And we should have gotten it in 2016.
Oh yeah, I know. Me too. I agree. Yeah. And also, I was pleasantly surprised by Gunpowder Milkshake.
Yeah, dude. Gunpowder Milkshake. That was cool too.
I've been waiting for that one for a while, but it just popped up on Netflix on the one night. Like I was just looking for a new action movie I haven't seen before, and it was right there on the main homepage. It's like perfect. Funny enough, this director, I think it's him and his brother. They're like a duo, I think. They were making a movie in Texas, and I had an audition for it. Of course, this was during COVID, so it was the Zoom audition. But that's where I got to play my favorite, Thug with Chainsaw.
Ooh.
Yeah. Didn't really have a chainsaw, so I used like a baseball bat, and I had no lines, so I kind of just looked intimidating with a baseball bat. It was very weird. I got very mixed feelings about the whole auditioning over Zoom thing we've had to endure this past year and a half. I mean, in context, it's a piece of cake compared to everything else going on in the world. But as far as an artist and as far as acting goes, like it's not really the best. But then again, if that audition had been in person, would it have been any better?
I mean, I think there would have been. I think there would have been like maybe like some staging or some like something else, to give you
a prop chainsaw, maybe.
Yeah, maybe a prop chainsaw or something.
Yeah,
you could have just asked one of our uncles. I'm sure they had a chainsaw, and you could have.
Yeah, but that's how you get arrested.
Gary, how's that? How you get arrested? Just
walk into an audition with a chainsaw? Hell yeah!
Oh well. I meant Zoom. Like
that's
one of our uncles, and then film yourself. Outside with the chainsaw. But yeah, I mean, obviously, we here at Lost Legacies are not endorsing that you bring chainsaws to your auditions. But maybe if they help, maybe you should.
Get that roll, man. You do what you have to.
You do what you got to do. You get that bread.
Speaking of auditions, I don't know what season it is. One of the Lost DVDs, they have the auditions of the cast. And you see I'm sorry, I'm spacing. What's the actor who plays Hurley? Jorge Garcia.
Yeah, Jorge Garcia.
You see him auditioning for Sawyer. It's classic. It's awesome. But you actually do see Josh Holloway's audition for Sawyer, and he like forgets his line halfway through, and he kind of plays it off, and he kicks the chair, and he gets angry, and that's kind of what sold the casting directors. They're like, okay, cool, you're
Huh.
hired. But now you also have to be mature enough, disciplined enough, and experienced enough to be Josh Holloway, realizing, okay, this is what Sawyer would do. You know,
Mhm.
so although he's Josh is upset and he's freaking out because he's trying to remember his line, he would be able to get away with that in any other audition. It's because that was the character. The character would do it. So yeah,
Right,
you
right.
know, if he was reading for Hurley, no, they would have kicked him out on the spot.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, let's talk about some lost. Let's get
Get
lost.
lost.
Let's take our own advice for once and get lost. So we're talking about season 2, episode 9, What Kate Did.
Mm.
Kate begins to lose her mind after she sees a familiar horse in the jungle. So first off, let's just get into it. We find out what Kate did.
Mm-hmm.
Finally.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they named the episode that because so many fans were asking since season 1, what did Kate do? What did Kate do? So they literally named the episode.
Here's what she did.
Uh-huh.
Here's what she did.
What Kate did. They should have just named it the episode Kate blows up her daddy. Which, so let's jump into her backstory, man. Yeah, we think she essentially blows up. It's not her stepdad, but the guy dating her mom and beating her mom, and she goes on the run. Dude, it's the unfortunate, tragic, classic case of toxic relationship. The mom just she's in it, you know. She quote unquote loves this guy. She's gonna take the beating, and when she realizes what Kate did, she rats her out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the rest is history, man. I'm trying to remember what happens first. She runs into the marshal, right?
She runs into the marshal at the bus depot.
Dude, that was such a great scene. Like the reveal, because you hear his voice and it sounds a little different. He's talking, and then when she turns and they rack focus, and you see it's the Marshall Edward Mars. I'm like, that son of a bitch, man. I hate this guy, but like, I kind of cheered when he showed up. I was like, dude, this is how you would introduce yourself.
Yeah.
He did great this episode, man. And I love, so he captures Kate, but I love the scene where they're driving in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he's being all Billy Badass and talking down to Kate. And, you know, of course, she's like, you don't know who I am, blah, blah, blah. And he lays it out. He knows exactly who she is. And he explains everything about the mom, the new boyfriend, about the way Kate reacts. Like, Edward Mars, also, what a name, man.
Right?
Edward Mars, he's a dick, but he's good at his job, damn it.
Uh-huh.
You know, he gets results. And yeah, man, he has her pegged. Like he knows the exact story. And I love what he says about Kate's mom, you know, like she says she loves him, she believes it. And she just, what's the line he says? She just thinks, hey, that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And that sums it up. I'm like, yeah, it's settling, even if it is a violent situation, settling, because that's life, man. That's what happens. I'm like, oh my God. Oh.
Yeah. That's some good writing right there.
Mm-hmm. And I know I'm kind of just like blazing through because I think Kate's backstory was really solid, and it's probably one of my favorite. Like, this isn't one of my favorite episodes, but this is one of my favorite flashbacks of all the episodes we've got, season 1 and 2, especially compared to Kate in season 1. Her flashbacks, they were good, but they were kind of slow. Like the one where she reunites with her childhood friend and all that stuff. It's like, okay, that's good. But this one, to see her story from the beginning, like, oh, okay. It just felt very fast paced. Each scene, I don't think any of the scenes lasted too long or lingered. Like things were happening. The car scene was obviously the longest. And we'll talk about the significance of this car scene later, because it does play into the rest of the episode. But then I think her last flashback was with her dad, right? The sergeant guy.
Yeah,
that's pretty much the last we see of that. And that's when Kate reveals that Wayne, who we thought was just the abusive boyfriend, was Kate's real dad. And that's why she ended up killing him. Which she reveals. See, this is how it's good, because I'm trying to. The way we usually do this, we talk about the backstory, then we talk about the island. But like, it's so tied in, because the episode starts with Kate on the island. What does she see in the jungle, Sam?
She sees a black stallion,
Black Beauty, and it's like, okay, whatever. But as the episode goes on, you start to see how like that occurrence really kind of shook Kate. And then at some point when she's kind of nursing Sawyer, who's still sleeping and he's all feverish, he wakes up and starts like trying to choke her, right? He said, "Why did you kill me?" and all this stuff. And so all these weird little things are connecting to her past. And for the first time, really, out of all the characters in all the show, like, someone's going crazy. And she admits it. And she admits it. I was like, finally, why can't we get something like this for all the characters? I love that scene. This whole episode is full of like small little really good scenes, and one of them was where she's at the little graveyard, and she admits to Saeed that she's going crazy, and then Saeed admits he saw Walt just before Shannon got killed. He must be crazy too. I'm jumping around, Sam. Fill in the gaps.
I know. You're jumping around. I mean, all right. So Kate, obviously, head over heels for Sawyer. She's trying to take care of Sawyer. There's the moment where Sawyer's delirious and starts choking her out, asks, "Why did you kill me?" Which I'm pretty sure Sawyer is imagining that that's Ana Lucia and not Kate. We don't have any context. We don't have any evidence for this, but that's just what I'm, sort of like focusing. But Kate is now, seeing this black stallion on the island. Charlie confirming that, like, no, I don't think there's polar bears and there's monsters, but I don't think there's any horses on the island, Kate. Like, Charlie, go play your guitar. You don't know anything.
That's not the vibe I got, though, because the way it ended, it seemed kind of more like, Kate, we've seen polar bears on this island. It's more kind of like there's anything could be on this island.
Yeah, but Charlie says no. Charlie says that I don't think something to the effect, like, I don't think there are horses. Like that, like that's literally the thing. Is like, it's like, look, I've seen polar bears, I've heard a monster, but horses, I don't know. And I'm like, oh, okay,
maybe I just read that scene differently. I don't know.
So it's like, so one, there's that, and then she gets, she does the Saeed thing. But before, is it before? Before she goes to talk to Saeed, or before she just goes to Shannon's grave, what's she doing, Matthew? She's out in the jungle. She's just there. She's just out there. And who goes to find her? Dr. Jack Shepard. what happens when Dr. Jack Shepard finds Kate and they try and have a conversation and Kate just tries to blow it off? Like, I don't know. Like, I can't talk about this. Like, I can't, deal with this. Like, what happens? He holds her. She starts crying. And then what happens? She kisses him.
Mm-hmm. You see, okay, so we got to pause here because we've tried very hard on this podcast to not be a recap podcast.
That's kind of what we're doing right now.
Well, yeah, and because a lot of those our early episodes were just recapping, we're like, this isn't interesting at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess this is kind of a credit to the show and the writers. Like, this episode really needs a recap because the scene between Jack and Kate, it's a great scene, but we got to set that up as well.
When
the episode starts, Jack is nursing Sawyer, and Sawyer starts muttering, and so Jack's like peers in. He's like, "What are you saying?" She's like, "Where is she? Where is she?" And he's like, "Kate." I'm trying to think of what's my Matthew Fox voice. Kate. I don't know.
Why does it sound so oblivious?
I don't. Matthew Fox or Jack just has this kind of like very, I don't know, interested. It's kind of like this curve he does with his words.
You're just giving me Mark Wahlberg in The Happening vibes.
I just read a review of Old, and it said it's both the best and worst of Shyamalan.
Oh my god,
the trees, they're killing us.
Something's happening to the trees. What? No,
we're dying of old age. Anyway, where was I?
Are we sure we're not going crazy?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. So we should note too, both our schedules have changed for work, and Sam has a new job now. We're not working together, which is good. But this new schedule is kind of, it's taking some adjustment time. So we're recording this right after work, and we are exhausted.
I've had a day. I mean, the day was good. Don't get me wrong. I had an actually really great day at work. It's just, I'm tired, man. I'm hungry.
Yeah, man. This is like the longest I've been able to sit all day. So we're just going to do this podcast just for an excuse to sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Sawyer then says, "I love her." What? I love her. So yeah, so Jack's going through this kind of like jealousy, but I also want to like respect her and not get in the way type situation, you know? But at the same time, maybe sabotage it because she's all like, "Oh, everyone's going to the funeral, Shannon's funeral. I'll watch after Sawyer." Nah, Kate, I got this. I'm going to stay with this shirtless redneck guy, you know? And she's like, no, really, let me do it. And he's like, damn. So anyway, all that happened. And then eventually, halfway through the episode, she kisses him. She plants one on him.
She kisses Jack.
She kisses Jack. Yes. After she's going crazy.
After she admits she's going crazy, she feels psycho.
Yeah.
She kisses Jack, and he kisses her back, and it's like, it's still
dude, it was a passionate kiss, man.
Yeah.
I was like, this is ABC family television in 2006.
Yeah. And then she pushes him away.
She kind of takes a moment, like realizing what she did. Like, wow. And then she runs off.
Into the jungle. And then that's where she goes to Shannon's grave. She has to talk with Saeed.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. So it's, let me say this. Let me get this in because I don't know when I'm going to get it in. When Kate is at Shannon's grave and Saeed comes and they have their conversation and, you know, Saeed admits that he saw Walt in the jungle. You know, I guess that makes us both crazy. And Kate doesn't say anything. She just kind of like stares off. And Saeed just looks done. He's over it. And he stands up and he walks away. That's kind of how I felt for the whole episode. with Kate's BS. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Here's the thing. Because I am on board with you. I think this is a great episode. I think testament to the writers and to Evangeline Lilly. I think it's great. I think Kate is just a very complex character, much like many of the other characters in this show. It's very complex, and the way they've handled her story, especially in this episode, was really good. It made me like, whoa, like not just because there's an explosion, towards the beginning of the episode, but because it is kind of intricate and it's complicated. Families are complicated. Family dynamics are complicated. And, having Edward Mars try and just like pinpoint and peg things that he's just observing. He's just looking at the puzzle pieces and saying like, yeah, this is you. I know this is you. I know why you did it. All that stuff. When he doesn't know anything at all, like he doesn't understand Kate's feelings. He doesn't understand how complicated the situation is for her. And I think she, this entire time, even up to now, is having trouble processing all of that. So yeah, I think this is one of the better episodes of the season. I think it's one of the better flashbacks. My thing is that Kate just doesn't know how to ask for help. She doesn't know how to trust people. And honestly, Kate, you did it to yourself because you keep getting people killed. You keep getting, innocent people caught in harm's way because you don't like to explain anything. You feel like you don't got to talk to anybody and tell people why you're doing these things. And you're just using people for your own advantage. And yeah, when Saeed got up and left, I was like, yeah, Saeed's over all this white woman bullshit. And honestly, Kate, I am too, because that's what all this is. Like even at the beginning of the episode, I was kind of upset. I was upset that Kate was very much like, no, Jack, you should go. You should go to Shannon's funeral. I'll stay with Sawyer. I'm like, why? Just so you could play house with, this redneck? This jerk redneck? Like, yeah, okay, sure, yeah. All right, Kate, whatever. But still, it does end, kind of on a happy note. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's good though that I'm glad we got this because one, she really hasn't got to do much this season so far, but also it's a good reminder that like, hey, this woman's a criminal. More than, on top of that, she's a murderer, and she doesn't feel regret towards it.
Yeah,
maybe a little, but not really. And so her the last flashback is where she goes to meet Sergeant Austin? I forgot what his name is.
Sam Austin.
What a
hell of a name.
Hell of a name. Sergeant Sam Austin is a military recruiter Marine, I think. If I remember the uniform right.
No, I thought it was Army, but yeah, I could be wrong.
Because I feel like in the past she's mentioned that her dad was a Marine and they would go like hiking and stuff.
Well, Ana Lucia mentioned that.
Ana Lucia mentioned that?
Yeah.
When was that?
In the flashback episode, Ana Lucia mentioned that her dad was a Marine.
No, but like in the past, because Kate's the tracker. That's the whole thing. They're like, how do you know so much about track? She's like, yeah, my old man, he was a Marine. He used to take me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, you're right. Never mind.
Unless I just made that up. I don't know. But yeah, so anyway, she goes to Sergeant Sam Austin, and that's when it's kind of revealed that like she figured out Wayne was her dad. This guy, her dad, not her father. Sam Austin's her dad. And he says, your mom loved him. I don't know why he has that accent. Your mother loved him and, respected that and all stuff. He even says, I tried to take you with me when I left when you were 5, couldn't work and all that stuff. Blah, blah, blah. point is, Kate asks him, why didn't you do it? Why didn't you kill him? And his face just drops and like he kind of looks at her in shock. And he says, because I don't have murder in my heart. Oh,
damn.
Oh, stab, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude, that was rough.
Mm-hmm.
And she leaves. He gives her an hour before he calls the cops. But she leaves. So finally, her story kind of wraps up. She goes back to sleeping Sawyer and I like how she addresses it. She's like, I don't know how this was possible, but she's talking to Wayne. If you're in there, I need to let you know why I did it. And she basically explains that when she found out he was her father, she couldn't stand the feeling that she was a part of him and that she would always be a part of him. Mm-hmm. And what she would never be good or something like that.
Yeah.
And dude, I'm like, it kind of puts everything into context. And she even mentioned Sawyer. She's like, she says something to the fact like, I can't love this man or I can't look at this man without thinking of you. And that disgusts me. And that's why I hate him so much. Like, dude, this is like daddy issues on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it puts like their relationship, her and Sawyer's, in a whole different context. Like, oh,
mm-hmm.
Now I see it. Mm-hmm. I saw it before, but now I get it. What's the line from Django Unchained?
Gentlemen, you had my curiosity. Now you have my attention.
This whole show should just be called Daddy Issues because that's what Lost is.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. There's some mommy issues too. Like it's just issues with parents.
Yeah. It's parental issues is what it is.
We'll just call this show This Is Us.
Oh, God.
So anyway, Sawyer wakes up. He's like, it's the most romantic thing anyone's ever told me. And, you know, they kind of make up and it's kind of cool that she's explaining like the hatch. He thinks she's pulling his leg and it's a joke. And he's like, oh, crap.
That they were actually saved.
Yeah. He's like, this is a hatch. Okay. And while they're resting outside, they both see the black horse.
Mm-hmm.
Which she saw in the beginning. But the reason it's driving Kate crazy is because when she was in the car with the marshal, a black horse darted across the road and they crashed. And she was able to fight her way out, kick him out, take the car. And the horse kind of just looks at her and it keeps going.
Mm-hmm. And Sawyer even asks when Kate went, because Sawyer looks over her shoulder because he's the first to see it. Mm-hmm. And then Kate turns and sees it, asks like, are you seeing this too? He's like, yeah. And she goes up to it and she starts you know, like nestling like its face and then it like gets a little spooked and then it runs off. And Sawyer asks like, Kate, is that your horse? Or no, he's like, Kate, do you know that horse? And then when it runs off, she's like, yeah. I'm like, this is insane. This is crazy. What's going on?
Yeah.
There's a horse on the island. There is a horse loose on the island. Gotta find that horse. I'm gonna rein that horse in. If somebody doesn't ride that horse into like battle or into a confrontation before the end of this series, I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna be real pissed about that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. So that's Kate's episode. That's what Kate did.
Yeah, that's what Kate did.
That was good. I mean, it was fun. I think it was well done, even though, I mean, there's a lot, especially with these characters, especially with a show that goes this long. It's like, okay, we're not even halfway through season 2. So it's like, how much more do we have to throw into these characters' lives to keep the flashbacks relevant? But I think this one fit, you know, and it made sense. And I'm glad we got to see Kate's kind of journey from the beginning. But let's talk about the fun stuff now. Mr. Echo is exploring the hatch. And Michael is messing with all the computers. Locke's talking to Echo. Echo's just sitting there in silence.
Well, first off, let's get it right.
Mm-hmm.
Because Michael notices the blast doors.
Oh yeah.
And
Inside
Locke hadn't noticed that before. Yeah. So he notices the blast doors.
So they're between like that dome room where the computer is and like the rest of the hatch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's basically in whatever situation, those things are rigged to blow so that it will seal off the hatch, or it will seal off the dome from everything else.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Locke talks about the film.
Yeah.
And then silently, Mr. Echo just like comes up and is like, I would like to see it too, if that is all right. And they're like, the more the merrier. So Michael and Mr. Echo watch the orientation film. They see, like how jumpy it is and jarry it is. And Michael's just like, okay, but what happens? Like why is this a thing?
He's very much like Jack. He's just like, okay, not that he doesn't believe it, but he just thinks, why are we going to put all our time and energy like into this? He doesn't think it's that serious.
Yeah. He doesn't think it's that serious. And, so he's like, okay. And Mr. Echo doesn't say anything.
Yeah, he just walks away.
He walks away. Then we cut back a little later in the episode where Locke is explaining that they can't enter the numbers at any other time. It can only be entered once the alarm is started to go off.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, can't do the numbers.
Yeah.
So Michael is like, okay, well, you mind if I just like take a look at the rest of the stuff? And he's like, yeah, just don't break anything. So they do that. That's when we get probably the best scene in the episode.
If not the show so far.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Echo and Locke are sitting down at the little table, and Mr. Echo starts talking about the beginning.
Yeah.
He goes back to the beginning.
He starts talking about the Bible, and Locke's like, wow, when you said the beginning, you meant it.
You meant it. Yeah. So basically talking about how like the first, like, I don't know, the iteration of like the Bible being brought,
Josiah.
Yeah, being brought to the temple, and that's what the temple was built with, not with gold, but with the book. And I was like,
it's such a cool little story. I was like, wow,
it's such a cool story. And I'm like, this is
and his voice, his acting. I'm like, yes.
And Terry O'Quinn, like his like reactions to everything that he's saying. I'm like, yes, dude. Like to me, that is cinema. Right there.
Cinema.
It's incredible.
Dude, I love Terry O'Quinn's like performance in that, because he's just listening and he's like, okay. And then Mr. Echo, he tells a story and he's like, we too found a book. And he starts talking about the book they found in the other hatch across the island.
He doesn't even mention the book. He talks about the facility. He's like, we found a place like this. Mm-hmm. And in that place, and he starts unfurling like the wrapping that he has. We found the book, and it's the Bible. And he tells John, he's like,
and they made the point. They showed that a couple episodes ago. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess it was the other 48 days where you see their point of view, and you see him find the Bible, and he opens it, and he just kind of looks, and he gives a look, and you don't see it again. Mm-hmm. So we never actually saw what was in the Bible. Like, okay.
So he gives it to Locke. He's like, this, like, oh, damn it. I forgot what the line was.
Something to the fact of like, I think what you'll find in there will be of use.
Mm-hmm. Like, so he gives it to Locke, and Locke kind of has that face where it's like, okay. Yeah. Kind of like, and he's been on kind of like the spiritual kick. Like everything's fated, everything's destiny. I don't necessarily think like he sees the Bible and is like, I appreciate like the irony in this, I appreciate like the significance, but it's just the Bible. Like, I don't think anything I need. And he opens it, he starts flipping through the pages. And what's really great is how it's filmed, because it's filmed from the side. And we see like the inside of the book. And as Locke is thumbing through the pages, we see where one of them has something cut out.
Yeah.
Like it falls, and Locke even notices that, and he looks at it.
Yeah.
And then we see the camera move, and there's a film reel. There's a cutout, and inside the cutout there's a film reel, and he picks it up and he holds it to the light, and it's the scientist from the orientation film. And they realize that this is what was cut from the other thing. So when they go, Locke and Mr. Echo are there, and Locke is like splicing the thing together. And I think Locke is the one that mentioned, like, it's funny. This video was made by somebody on the mainland, but this film was cut and edited by somebody here. You know, and he mentioned something about fate.
Yeah, well, he talks about the whole thing. He said then someone had to cut it. This one stayed here, the other one ends up there, and he starts talking about our plane crashes on we're on two different sides.
Oh yeah, the same plane crashes on two different sides of the island. You come, and we're here. Yeah, it's like it's fate. And Mr. Echo, the whole time, like, kind of, I'm not sure what the vibe that he's giving is.
John didn't say fate, and that's the thing. Like he's kind of the spiritual guy. But he's kind of saying, like, what are the chances? That's the word he says. What are the chances?
That's right. That's
of
right.
this getting here. And that's when Echo goes into his thing.
Yeah. And that's when Echo, like, kind of like gives him like a little bit. It's not like a hard side eye, but he kind of side eyes him a little bit. And he's like, don't mistake coincidence with fate.
Yes. And it's so good though, because when Locke starts talking, like, he's giving him the side eye, but then as Locke keeps going and you understand what he's saying, you see like this little smirk on the corner of his mouth. And that's when you see, I can't remember his full name, but Adewale, the actor. You could see him acting. You can see the acting into Mr. Echo, and you see like Echo realizes what he's getting at. You know, he's like, yeah, do not mistake coincidence for fate. Like, wow, dude. Hell yeah. But once they spliced the film together, what was it? What was the missing piece?
Missing piece was that the scientist on the film is telling them to not use the computer for any other function except for punching the code. Don't try and use the computer to communicate with the outside world, because if you do, that could create another incident.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh. And so Locke and Mr. Echo, like, they see that. They're like, whoa, what does that mean? And then what happens at the end of the episode, Matthew?
Man, Michael's just gone. He's just doing his thing. I don't know. Michael's like, he's a jack of all trades. He's an artist. He works in construction. He's part architect because he's the one like making sure the caves are safe. And now he's like IT guy because he's going through the computer. I mean, well, if you think about it, he's the dad of the show. So dad has to be a jack of all trades, a dad of all trades. So he's going through all the computer and the wires and stuff, and then you hear a little boop, and it's a boop that we haven't heard before. And he eventually finds it, and it's coming from the computer. And it says, it reads, "Hello," and he starts chatting, man.
Now he starts AOL instant messaging this person.
Yeah, this is 2006, so the technology on that computer wasn't that far off. No, yeah, he starts messaging, you know, who is this? And like they ask, who is this? And he's like, Michael, who is this? And it just waits, and then the other person types back, Dad? No. Michael has that look. Cut to
No. Cut to. That's it.
Oh yeah, that's at the beginning
of the episode.
Yeah, end of the episodes. Okay. Yeah. 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 And like I mentioned last episode, this was their mid-season finale. This aired like in December, and then we didn't get Lost back for at least another month.
Jeez.
I was like, what? What in the Sam Austin hell? Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, man. It's setting up some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so it's interesting because we were talking about how last episode definitely feels like the end of like the first act, because a lot of those storylines at the beginning of season 2 were wrapped up.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them, but most of them were. So, and we were saying, okay, well, now what? Well, this one definitely seems to be setting up new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You got Mike is chatting with his new online buddy. Locke and Echo find something out about an incident, and well, I mean, I guess that's really it. But they're planting those seeds, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Ana Lucia, you know, we're gonna wait to see what happens there.
Mm-hmm.
MVPs. This one's kind of tough.
This one's a little tough. I'm gonna give it to Kate.
Okay. Yeah, Evangeline Lilly.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Evangeline Lilly because you know, even though, like I said, I had a lot of problems, but they all stem from the fact that Kate just doesn't know how to trust people.
Yeah, it's from the writing. You know, I think as an actress, she sold it, man. And
yeah, 100%.
I think that was the most realistic performance of anyone on the show so far, because we actually get to see her like losing her mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to go with. Man, I'm so torn. I'm gonna go with the Marshal, Frederick Lane.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wasn't in the episode that much, but it was cool because it really set up and it kind of put the character of Kate in perspective. It's like, yeah, he does, like, kind of like you said, like he doesn't know her. He doesn't know what he's talking about, but everything he said is true. Like he pegged it, you know, he got it. So the way they use the character and the way he played it, he's not a bad guy, but he's very antagonistic, and he's just that villain you love to hate. You know, and like I was glad to see him this episode. However, I think we're gonna have a unprecedented event, Sam.
Uh-oh.
I think I'm going to also vote for another person.
Okay.
3-way tie for MVP. And I think you're in agreement, but I'm gonna have to go with Adewale Akinoye Abaje.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's like my new favorite name. I'm gonna name my firstborn kid after this guy. Adewale Jimenez. Do you think it sounds good?
Sure.
Yeah. So my firstborn son or daughter, doesn't matter. It'll be named after Mr. Echo.
Oh man. Christmas cards are gonna be fun.
Yeah, just because that scene, man, that story was so good.
He's able to do so much with what little screen time he has, whether he's just going to talk to Ana Lucia, or if he's sitting there watching an orientation film, or if he's talking to somebody about the Bible.
Well, but that's the thing too. Like has a good amount of screen time. Yeah, but he's doing very little.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's what it is. He's kind of just taking everything in, and it's cool to have a character like that. So
I like it.
What are your I'll get back to him in a second, but what are your predictions?
Well, somebody's got to ride that horse.
Okay.
That's up there. If nobody rides the horse before the end of the series, I'm going to be upset. Also, going to posit Locke versus Mr. Echo? Question mark.
That's interesting.
Because we have the man of faith and the man of science thing going on with Locke and Jack, right? And so I can definitely see that. I like that's going to come to a head again as well. Like, that's not going to be a problem that's easily solved. However, now we have somebody who does have a more spiritual side to them.
Yeah.
And, isn't like not necessarily hiding that, it's just like, yeah, here we go. Like, I believe in this. And the fact that Locke, since the beginning, has been like, okay, like putting the pieces together, doing this, doing that, like it's all connected, like everything's here, we're here for a reason, all that stuff. He is guided by this faith that he has. He is guided by this destiny. And we have somebody who is kind of also on the same spiritual lines, not necessarily calling him out, but just putting him in check and being like, this could be a coincidence.
Right.
You know that, right? And Locke gives him that look as well, where it's like, And I'm like, I don't think like, and I don't think it's gonna get to the same level as Jack and Locke, where they're like butting heads together. But I do think it is gonna be the thing where it's like Mr. Echo might not trust Locke before the end of the season. He might see him as like, yeah, this is very much not the person I want to be around.
Yeah. And I think also like he just seems like someone who doesn't trust anyone, or like he gives them their chance and he kind of watches. Because even in their flashback, the other 48 days episode, he went through his 40 days of silence and you could see him like judging Ana Lucia and her decisions she was making. And he let them happen, but you could tell like when he wasn't cool with something. And a lot of times too, he directly defied her and he did his own thing. So he does have some kind of like, I don't know, some kind of morals. We haven't really seen. Well, he seems like a good guy. The things he's doing has been to help others. He goes out of his way to help others. So yeah. Oh man, you're going white, yellow, and red for some reason.
Oh geez.
Anyways, luckily we're wrapping up. Yeah, and the thing is too, we can't forget that like this episode started with the plane crash, and that plane crash was essentially a miracle for John Locke. So to have this person who we never really get any sense that he was a spiritual guy, especially through his flashbacks, because we've said like he's always like this weak man who has these grand ideas, but now we see him on the island and there is this kind of spirituality in him, or some kind of faith in whatever, in destiny. It's always about destiny. What am I supposed to do? Like now he's a believer. So it still seems very fresh. They've been there like what, 40, 50 days now. And like, that seems like that's the kind of character Locke is. This miracle happens. He can walk. So he's exploring like this faith for the first time, maybe. And because of that, we don't really know, like, does Locke know what he's doing? At times, you definitely find out, like, no, he doesn't. He's winging it. But yeah, so to have Mr. Echo who's there, to tell the story about the Bible of all things, and to do a self-imposed 40 days of silence. There's some all of this has some kind of, I don't know about religious subtext, but there's more to that. There's some kind of code in the things he's doing. So it'd be interesting to see that, bumping up or working with Locke. But speaking of Mr. Echo, we're going to get more of him next episode with season 2, episode 10, the 23rd Psalm. As Michael continues to chat with his new internet friend, Mr. Echo enlists the aid of Charlie to help him solve one of the island's many mysteries.
Okay. All right.
It's Jericho and Charlie. That's interesting.
I like it.
Oh, hey, let's not forget Charlie was religious.
Yeah.
It doesn't really seem like he is now, but in his flashbacks, he was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be interesting.
That's interesting.
All right, guys. Until next time, like, subscribe, rate, review, share, hit us up, hashtag Lost Legacies. You can always find me at Twitter _Matt Jimenez and Instagram at Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Reel, that's REEL, Texas Weirdo.
Sounds good, Sam. I'm going to go eat me some supper.
Me too.
All right. I'll see you at work. Oh, you're off tomorrow.
I'm off tomorrow.
I'll go work with people who aren't my brother tomorrow on a Saturday. All right. For everyone else not working tomorrow, get lost. I was waiting for you to jump in, but okay.
Oh, get lost.